I never updated my... Oh, whatever. It's not a big deal. It should be live by now. Don't know why it isn't. I never updated my... Oh, whatever. Ah, okay, there we go. Now we're live. Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, January 28th. And if this is your first time here, if you're watching this in the live playback, what we do on this live stream, we cover all of the market updates going on in the news. Sorry, let me turn my volume down on my phone here. I watched the stream on my phone just to make sure everything's synced up. We'll do an overall wellness check on the market. We're going to check out crypto. This is a crypto-focused channel. And then we branch out to silver and gold, doing lots of crazy things these days. I'm sure many of you are aware. We'll also look at the Japanese bond market, and we'll look through any of the relevant stocks that might be making big moves, overall S&P 500 health, etc. Lots of exciting things are going on, whether you consider them good or bad. The US dollar has continued to fall, not in a good way, definitely in a bad way. And on this channel, we try to really position ourselves to be able to get ahead of that and stay in the game. Now, before we jump in too far, for some reason, my live chat is not showing on my end. So I'm just going to really quickly see if I can bring that up, and then we're going to jump in. Here we go. So I think now I've got it good. So I'm going to go through, say good morning to everyone, and then we're going to hop into things. The Gangsta Goblin, good morning. I do know about Turtle Wow. Here's the thing about World of Warcraft. It can suck your time away. So if I'm going to get back into gaming, I got to make sure that I have the spare time to do it. And lately, this channel's really been kind of my primary focus. It's hard to work and game on the same computer. So I've had to kind of take a step back from gaming a little bit to get this thing going. But I did play Classic WoW. If you do play WoW, I played on the Night Slayer Anniversary server. Got all the way through Phase 6. Big parses, all that stuff, if you know what I'm talking about. If I do something, I do it to be good at it. Good morning, Lord Xander. If you don't like yourself, you can play League of Legends. I used to play League way back. Man, I'm going to feel old saying this, but we were playing League back when I was in high school. The game has changed so much now that I almost don't even recognize it. It makes it very hard to get back into a game like that. The games I have been playing, something that's easy for me to do, kind of helps with being a content creator. I can kind of go at my own speed. I've been replaying the entire Halo series on Legendary. Just beat Halo 5 the other night. It was an awful experience. I hope to never do it again. But I did beat Halo 5 on Legendary. I've only got one game left, which is Halo Infinite, and then I will officially have completed my Legendary run. I could branch out to Halo Wars 1 and 2 if I'm up to it, but since those are a different type of game, well, we'll see how that goes. Probably not that big of a deal. Good morning, Scorpio, the Flare man. I did buy Flare this morning. I've been noticing that Flare has been moving up, so I thought, you know what, this could be my last opportunity. That's not financial advice, entertainment only, but it is what I did. I bought some Flare. I bought a decent amount of it too. It's not like I just threw $50, but I don't want to get into specifics. The idea for Flare, you guys know, I want Flare to be kind of like my real estate portfolio. So I grabbed enough Flare this morning to get me one step closer to that. And I'll probably buy Flare one more time before the price really takes off. And then after that, I think I'll probably just be happy what I've got and then move on to H-Bar and Quant. Let's see, we got Goblin says right on, Chief. Same way, bro. Good morning, Pat. We need XRP to do a Leroy Jenkins. Well, If you know how it ended for Leroy, I think maybe we don't want it to do a Leroy Jenkins, but maybe we want it to do a theme, you know, best paladin in the world type. I used to play a lot of WoW, you guys. I know all the WoW memes. I'm very up to date on WoW culture. Good morning, Emily. Not a gamer, just a nurse who loves the beach and crypto. Those are two things I love as well. Good morning, Steph. And then Crazy Ton says it's Firelight on Kraken now. I've been seeing rumblings about that. I need to follow up on Firelight and Kraken. I don't actually use Kraken. I don't even have a Kraken account. So I'd have to kind of get that set up to see. But if Firelight is on Kraken, then I think the one-click options would be very easy for people to do. You guys know me. I like to do the path of most resistance. So I'll probably still go into the Flare network. I'll still probably go into the Firelight website and do it all manually myself. But if you do use Kraken, having Kraken as an option for one-click staking, that's pretty cool. And some people have sent me screenshots. I've noticed, so I don't have some of these, tools or applications, but someone showed me a screenshot that they're doing one-click staking from their hot wallet for Flare, and they're even able to pick the FTSO from their hot wallet. I think it was a hot wallet. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at the screenshots, but that's probably a really good option for people that don't necessarily want to get too deep into the technicals. I'd have to look into that wallet myself. I do all of my staking on a Decent wallet. The Decent app, as much as I love it, it's not as integrated for Flare networks as something like a Bifrost wallet would be. But then the Bifrost wallet's always connected to the internet. So it's kind of like a trade-off. I will say this about Bifrost. They've got probably the best user experience platform that I've seen on any sort of wallet. It is a hot wallet. There's risks to that, but from a user experience perspective, Bifrost has been very good. If you guys don't know why I don't like hot wallets, I'll just very briefly touch on it. If your phone has Wi-Fi connected, so I know a lot of people probably go throughout the day with their Wi-Fi left on. If you go to somewhere like a shopping mall or an airport, or maybe you're like a festival or whatever, there's a lot of people around. If your phone is connected to Wi-Fi, it's possible for someone to airdrop things to your phone. You don't know what it is you're getting. They'll usually hide it as something that you might want to do, like Starbucks Wi-Fi or McDonald's Wi-Fi, something of that nature. And without realizing it, you're syncing your phone to the hacker's phone. They're going to steal all of the information off your phone by cloning it, including the access keys to your hot wallet. And so if you want to have a hot wallet and keep yourself protected, as soon as you leave the house, if you turn Wi-Fi on your phone off, that is a really good layer of security that will probably prevent you from getting hacked in the first place. Beyond that, the hot wallet is always connected to the internet. That could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. I personally like to do my business and turn my cold wallet off, put it back in its secret hiding spot where no harm can come to it, and it can do no harm. That's my personal feelings on that. Good morning, Dean. Good morning, Jim. Good morning, AL. Any chance Flare will be on Robinhood? I know one of you guys on here was also asking about that. I don't know. I don't necessarily like buying crypto on Robinhood because I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. Robinhood to me seems like a very entry-level platform, not just for crypto, but for stocks as well. And maybe Robinhood's come a long way, and maybe I just am out of touch with it. But when Robinhood was very fresh, this was back in 2021, still very new. When all this GameStop stuff was going on, nobody could sell their assets on Robinhood. And ever since then, I just don't really trust it. Not saying that it's still the case. That's just how I personally feel. So I don't really use Robinhood at all. If you wanted to get Flare, I think Coinbase is probably your best bet. I do believe Uphold has it as well. Kraken might. I don't know if Kraken has Flare. I guess if Kraken has Firelight, it would kind of make sense for Kraken to have Flare. But I don't have Kraken personally, so I guess one of you guys would probably have to be the final word on that one. I'm getting better with my coffee sips, by the way. Oh, before we jump into too much, I did some tinkering around yesterday. I'm going to throw out a poll. I want to see what you guys think. I spent some time tinkering around with the layout of the stream. So there's going to be a poll. The option 1 is simple layout, which we're not on yet. And then the option 2 is new layout. So the poll is live. The simple layout would basically be this, and I'll share my screen now. This is what you guys are familiar with. It's just my head in the bottom right corner of the screen. Otherwise, I'm essentially sharing my full screen with no, there's no bells and whistles here. It's literally just a screen share. So this is the simple layout. Now, I spent some time with this other layout. I think it's cool, but I want to see what you guys think because it'd be a little busy. So what I've got here, this is the full screen. I'm no longer covering any of the screen. So if I'm screen sharing, if I'm looking at graphs, you know, I could click on XRP and I don't have to worry about me blocking any of the screen because it's all there. One downside of this is that, you know, the screen's going to be a little bit smaller for you guys. Not sure how big of a deal that is, but some other cool stuff is, you know, up here in the top ribbon, I don't think my mouse can go over it. Yeah, my mouse can only be what's in this center screen, but you can see in the top left corner, I've got live running data showing XRP's current price, Flare's current price, HBAR and Quant's current price. And over on the right, I've got the Japanese government bond and the silver price as well. And I wonder what this little thing here is. Oh, I get what's going on here. This thing didn't sync. Let's see. You guys want to see some behind the scenes stuff? I should be able to... I might have to resync this. Maybe I have to resync it every time I use it. Let's see. If I don't get this thing working, I'll just close it out. Oh, come on. Why isn't it showing what I want it to show? No, not like that. Okay, kind of. Hold on. We'll get this right. I gotta go to interact. Now there should be a mouse wheel for me to scroll this thing down, but I don't see it. If I don't get this thing working, I'll just close it out. But basically, what this is, oh, this is weird. Maybe I'll just close this part out. But this was going to show me the live subscriber count so that you guys could, not that it really matters, but just something that we could display on the screen, but it doesn't seem to be working right now. I'm going to try one more time to fix it, and if it doesn't fix, then I'll just delete this little box. But I thought this would be kind of fun. It's like a live feed that, you know, shows what's going on with the channel. Here we go. I wonder if I'll have to resync this every time I stream. Let's just see what happens. So, yeah, okay, that's what I wanted. Sorry, guys, you know, we're always figuring this out on the go. That should do it. Yeah, there we go. Pretty cool stuff, you guys. I've gotten last time I looked at this, I was at 7,400. So about 220 subscribers and just in the past 2 or 3 days here, which I'm always happy for. I'm going to go up and look at the poll. I just want to hear from you guys what you guys think. You know, I have both of these layouts saved, so I can very easily switch back and forth between the two. Times when it's easier to just do a simple share, like what we're doing right here, and then around with it. So, this thing, once again, whatever. Maybe I'll just delete the counter out because it doesn't seem to really be working very well. Yeah, so, you know, I'll leave that thing out for now because it seems to be more trouble than it's worth, but we'll see. It looks like it's in favor of the new layout, but there are some of you guys that prefer the old one, so let's just run with the new layout for a little bit. We'll see if it grows on us. Otherwise, you know, I can switch back and forth between the two, and that would be no problem. I want to catch up on the chat a little bit before we jump into the charts. So, Dean says, I'm a Robinhood guy, but I had to sign up for Coinbase to get Flare. I felt like Coinbase had very high fees. I'll address that. And then he says, other than that, I don't use Coinbase or don't leave anything on them. Yeah, Coinbase has pretty bad fees. It can be a little bit of an eye-opener when you first get into Coinbase and realize, you know, they take, I think, like a 1.5% fee on everything you buy. If you do get Coinbase Premium, which I actually did, it's $30 a month, but it eliminates those transaction fees. So if you run the numbers, they're taking a 1.5% transaction fee. If they're charging $30 a month, in order for you to break even, oh geez, I need to make sure I got my numbers straight here. Let's pull out the handy dandy calculator. I do believe that $1,500 a month would make you break even. So what's 1,500 divided by 1.5? Well, that's 1,000. So maybe you only have to spend $1,000 a month. Hold on, but then the Coinbase Premium is $30 a month. So, yeah, maybe it's 3,000 divided by 1.5, and that's. Hold on, that doesn't sound right either. Hold on. Maybe I do 1.5 divided by 3,000. Forget it. I guess the point is I'd have to go out and get the calculator and do it offline. But point being, if you spend about $2,000 to $3,000 a month on Coinbase, you'll come out ahead on that transaction fee. For some reason, I'm kind of brain farting on how much you really need. I guess if it's 1.5%, you spent $1,000, that'd be what, 15? So then I think it's $2,000 then. So I think $2,000 is when you break even. So if you're gonna spend $2,000 on Coinbase, that's when you break even on the transaction fees. And if you go more aggressive on that, then you'll come out greatly ahead. So if you're in a position where you can spend $3, $4, $5 grand a month on crypto, you know, unfortunately, I'm not able to do that right now, but back when I was consulting, it was a little bit easier for that to work. You might see that maybe Coinbase Premium is not such a bad deal, and that goes all the way up to $10,000 per month. So if you're buying $10,000 worth a month on Coinbase, that's when I think you're really getting a good deal on that membership. Beyond that, I've heard that Kraken has the best, or I guess the least intrusive fees. So that could definitely be an option for you guys, but I personally don't have Kraken, so I wouldn't know what they are. I have heard that Uphold has pretty bad fees too. So Pat likes the new layout. I appreciate that. I think the new layout is pretty cool. Maybe we keep it up. Maybe not the entire time, but I think it's kind of nice to just, you know, while we're talking through topics, if we see movement, then we can kind of jump back and forth to things. Like right now, looking at it, I can see silver's moving you know, every like millisecond, like that number changes, right? And right now it's at 114. You know, by the end of the stream, maybe it's at like 116, 117 with the way silver's been moving. So I kind of like having that little information there, but then I guess the screen is a little busy. So, oh, hold on. I'm getting a phone call. Let me just say no to it real quick. Shoot. Hey, buddy. It's just a phone call. All right, buddy. Hey, shut up. Sorry, guys. That was the veterinarian calling. I have Apple products, so when they call your phone, it calls your computer and your iPad and all of that. I'm surprised that's the first time that's happened. But I'll call them back after the stream. That's no big deal. So, Jay Kusamo, sorry for butchering your name. Just arrived. Have you gone through where the Japanese yen and reverse carry trade is? Anything new? What could or should happen soon? We can jump into that pretty soon here. I do have that live tracker going on here in the center, top center of the screen. But we'll look at the chart because it moved a lot overnight and then fell back down. Let's see. We got user. Morning, Andrew. Good to see you. You're my favorite user. A little bit corny there, I know, but Rydog says all I'm missing is my FPS counter. Now that would be something. Frames per second. I'm not sure that matters too much in chart reading, but I'm a little bummed that the plugin for the subscriber count didn't work, but I guess that's not really that big a deal. Since you guys are asking, let's just jump straight to the Japanese bonds. I'll pull out the JP10Y. So this one moved a lot overnight, and then it fell back down. So if I would have been streaming around 3 in the morning, we'd be talking about a 2.3 bond yield, right? But instead, it's back down to 2.23. I think this is interesting. We're seeing it shoot back up through the night, and then it comes down during the day. It probably has to do with the fact that, you know, in Japan, I don't know what time it is right now, but it's probably definitely not 11:30 like it is here in Michigan. But I have to imagine this is going to keep going. It seems like, you know, there's a little bit of easing here, but to go from 2.2 all the way up to 2.9 through the night, unfortunately, he woke up. It was already back down. I don't know if I should be saying unfortunately. Maybe that's a little greedy on my part. But the more this goes up, you know, it's like the straw that's going to break the camel's back. We don't know exactly when this thing's going to boom. But I have to imagine this thing can't get to 4%. I feel like it's just... to me, it just doesn't feasibly make sense to get to 4%. If it does, they're basically doing everything they can to delay the inevitable, which in a weird roundabout way could be better for XRP holders. But we'll have to keep watching this. I do think that probably by the end of February, this will be over 2.5, maybe even higher than that. And I'm cross-referencing this pretty closely. Let me clean up some of my tabs. I got too many tabs open. Yeah, there we go. This is what I wanted to see. Let me just drag this here so it's clean. We've all known what's going on with silver. It's up to 114, and the Japanese interest rates keep going higher. This is the overall Japanese interest rate. JP10Y is moving as well. I wonder if silver is gearing us up for a massive rotation, unlike anything that we've really seen before yet. One way or another, when you look at the way silver and gold are moving, it's very indicative that, you know, fiat currency is going to the wayside. Man, my dog is just all over the place. I might have to put him in the backyard. I wonder if can you guys hear when my dog barks? Is it, because I know this microphone is very good at only picking up like noises that are in your immediate surroundings. I guess he's looking out for me, making sure that no one's robbing me while I'm on stream. I guess when you're a streamer, when you're on stream, it's kind of a vulnerable position. You can't exactly strategize your defense very well, but I'm not personally worried about that. Just kind of fun to think about. Anyways, what I was saying before my dog barked. For this is 1 month. This is a 1 month chart we're looking at. Silver, not even a month ago, or like around New Year's, when New Year's closed, silver was at $70. Now we're at 114. We're looking at a runaway train here. And we saw some people take profits. That's to be expected. It ran up almost $20 in the matter of 3 days. It makes sense for people to take profits. But there's more going on here than just profit taking. I've been talking to a lot of people in the past couple of days, and something that's pretty common across the board with people that I know that buy silver, and some of you guys are buying silver as well. If you want to buy physical coin, do you go to a broker or a dealer in your local market? A lot of them are saying they won't sell you silver for less than $130. Now, silver's run up enough as it is. I can't personally justify buying $130 silver when my favorite coins are so deeply on sale right now. And it's not that I don't believe in silver, but I do believe in getting the best deal. And so this morning, I'm watching Flare. We got to think, all things considered, it's been a bad month for crypto. Flare is one of the few tokens that's actually moving pretty well. We covered on stream last week. Flare was at, I have a hard time saying this because it's not 1 cent. It was like 0.0099 and some change. So take away the 1 right here and put some 9s right here. However you verbalize that out loud, I'm still trying to figure it out. Anyways, in just 1 week, not only has Flare gone up to a penny, it's almost at a penny and a tenth. So yes, that's much cheaper than it was a year ago. I'm not saying that the token has recovered, because it hasn't, but what it shows me is that there's some forward momentum here where the rest of the market's not exactly moving. Flare's showing some signs that we might get a breakout soon. And even, right at the beginning of January, it was at a penny and 3/10. I have a feeling that with the next Flare drop coming out in 2 days, maybe we don't see price action immediately, but I do have a feeling that we're going to start seeing this thing move. I mean, if you look right now, back in October, Flare was at 2 cents and 6/10. Man, there's got to be a better way to say that out loud. If Flare gets back to 2 and 6/10, that would be a 2.5x from where it is right now. And I don't think it'll take that long to get there. I think that it will get back to this point faster than it took to get down to this point. And so when you're weighing your options, do I buy this silver? Everyone's running to the store and buying silver. It's like, oh, I got to get my silver. I'm looking at Flare and I'm thinking, I'd rather be buying Flare right now, because when Flare recovers, Flare's chart might look like silver's in not that long of a time span. You see how this looks? Flare, I think, might do this, and then it might even do it faster. Of course, these are just my opinions. None of this is financial advice. But that's why right now I'm personally, I don't swap crypto, but I did swap a little bit of S&P 500 today, and made that happen. And I did that last week too. So this is my second time doing a stock swap to get some crypto. Because I have a feeling that once Flare starts moving, everyone's got to do what they can do. But I might not really want to be buying Flare when it's at 2 cents or 3 cents. I might want to just get what I can now. Of course, dollar cost average, that's one thing. But I don't know that I'd want to be doing lump sums when Flare starts to move again. And so that's kind of where I'm positioning myself right now. I think that Flare in the next 14 to 30 days, I think is going to outperform probably the rest of the crypto market, including XRP. That doesn't mean that I don't still love XRP. I do. But I just think that over a 30-day period, I think we're going to see more growth out of Flare. And that's why I'm being a little bit more aggressive right now. We got a comment here from Steph. The U.S. government might step in and give a loan to Japan government to prevent things from spiraling with their bonds. That would help their economy, but maybe not increase price for crypto holders. I don't know if that's feasible at this point. Because the United States, we've been, when I say we, I mean our government. Our government's been getting loans from Japan for like 30, 40 years now. So I don't know that they really can give them a loan so much as they can just pay back their existing loans. And I think that's the way it works, right? So part of the way the reverse carry trade works is like doing a recall, like they're recalling all of these assets back. And I think that's how it's going to move forward. And so in some ways, what you're saying, I think is correct. I just think the mechanisms behind it are a little bit different. So when the United States starts paying these bonds back or their loans back, maybe not necessarily the bond, but when the United States starts paying those loans back, that's when I think we're going to see some very steep liquidations out of the stock market, probably out of our own bond market. You might see some pretty rough waters coming out of your general finance space here. And I think that's why a lot of people are moving to gold and silver. Here on this channel, we're moving towards crypto. I think both are going to do just fine. This isn't necessarily a metals versus crypto. There's people on Twitter that want to divide like that. I have no problem with people that bought silver. I'm happy for you guys. But I even had a friend last night, kind of a hard guy to get along with, but he asked me how my crypto's doing and then talks about his silver. And it's like, dude, I'm happy for you that your silver's working. I don't know why you're trying to kick me while I'm down on XRP. I don't really know what that's all about. But that's a good way to sour a friendship is to do stuff like that. I don't do stuff like that. You guys are doing well with silver, and I'm happy for you. When XRP hits, I'm not going to go to the gold and silver people and throw it in their faces. That's just not my style. But for some reason, that's what a lot of people like doing. I don't understand the divisiveness. I mean, you can invest in multiple things. Even here in the crypto space, I don't understand why people have to fight over whether or not you should be buying HBAR, Chainlink, or XRP, or XLM. It's not that complicated. Just buy all of it. I'm heavily allocated in XRP. Doesn't mean it's the only thing I hold. Doesn't mean it's the only thing I believe in. I just believe XRP is going to perform the best. And that's why I'm very focused on it. But I don't understand all the divisiveness. Real quick, if you guys could do me a favor, we got 37 of you in here this morning. Could you guys help me get those likes just a little bit higher? We're at 18 right now. If we could break 25, that should get this live stream a little bit more spread through the algorithm. Baller says, will Flare hit 2 cents before silver hits 200? I don't have a crystal ball, but I think that it would. I'm not saying silver is going to stop from where it is right now. I mean, obviously people take profits and that makes the price go down for a little bit. But I don't necessarily see silver hitting $200 in the near term, so much that I think we could see flare. I'll go back to the flare chart. The next time flare moves, and I'll back this up with some chart analysis. The next time flare moves, and I mean like really moves, you know, look at these periods right here where my mouse is. November 4th of 2024 to December 2nd, right? That's a period of only 1 month. It went from a penny and 2/10 up to 3 cents and 4/10. Still trying to figure out the best way to say it, but in just a span of 1 month, last year, flare essentially tripled its price. That's not the only time that it's done that. Back in the beginning of 2024, in January, it went from 2 cents all the way up to 5 cents. So I'm just looking at this, and I know that the golden rule is that past performance doesn't predict the future, but I just look at the way flare moves. That's all I'm doing. And I have reason to believe that when flare moves, it's probably going to, you know, we're at right now essentially a penny. It could be at 2 or 3 cents in just a matter of 1 month. And so that's why I would rather be buying flare right now than silver, because I just don't see silver getting to $200 in a 1 month time frame. And I do think that flare's movement is going to happen, maybe not on the day of the flare drop, not saying that, but I do think after the flare drop, we'll probably see some of the flare community sell their bags. I know, not the smart thing to do, but you can't stop people from doing what they're going to do. Once that happens, I think the runway is clear for institutions to start piling money into it. And I think that's when we're going to see some price appreciation. It might go, I mean, man, I don't have a crystal ball and I don't want to necessarily do hardcore price predictions here. But given the circumstances, the flare drop's coming to an end, that means inflation's coming to an end. If we see institutions start dumping money into this, flare could probably go to 5 to 6, 7, 8 cents very rapidly. I think that, you know, its ICO price here, or ICO to 8 cents, there's a chance that we get back up to those numbers. No crystal ball or anything like that, but I think that it's a serious possibility. And once Firelight, you know, once all of these projects, they've got products at market that literally no other crypto company is doing. Once these things are officially live and they're out of their beta testing, which is kind of what we are, we're kind of beta testing their system. Once these things are fully operational, you guys, I think flare really does go to $1. Maybe not this year, maybe not in 2027, but somewhere around 2028, 2029, I think flare will be $1. And I think decades from now, flare could be $5, $10, $20. You know, I'm thinking very long term, like 10 years out. And if that's the case, the fact that right now to get 1 million flare tokens, you're only all in for about $10,000 to $11,000, depending on whether or not you have Coinbase Premium, I guess, or if your brokerage has decent fees on it. You can get 1 million tokens right now. Not financial advice. You could get 1 million for 11 grand all in. Flare has never been cheaper. I mean, it was a little cheaper last week, but in the grand scheme of things, 6 or 7% movement is not that big of a deal when you realize where this is going to be going. If you had 1 million flare, I think that's a forever bag. I think that you could very much rest on your laurels with 1 million flare. And it's not going to stay at 1 million, because if you're staking it and you're reinvesting your rewards, you know, some of these FTSO providers, let me see if I got those tabs open. Yeah, I'm looking at right here, Anchor. This is probably what I'm going to go with for my Flare challenge. You're currently getting almost a 13% stake on that. So if you think about it, if you had 1 million Flare tokens and you just let them cook for a while and you don't micromanage it, it's only a matter of time before you get to 2 million Flare tokens. And if you go hard enough on this, and I can't say it enough times, not financial advice, but if you go hard enough on Flare right now, your staking rewards could be higher than someone else's dollar cost average 3-4 years down the line, where it's like you almost can't lose. It's just you had to get in early, and there's never, oddly enough, because this isn't necessarily the earliest, but there's never been a better time to buy it because it's never been cheaper. So I am extremely bullish on Flare right now. Really excited for it. Firelight, it's gonna eventually go into phase 2. I think they posted a roadmap with very loose targets of March being the phase 2 go live. We start seeing how the Firelight points shake out. If you're staking XRP, you could have coals in 2 different fires. XRP into Firelight, Flare on the Flare network, kind of double dip in some of that staking action. And very quickly, you'll be able to start to kind of see how you may not even really need to contribute to your crypto portfolio anymore. And that's really the end goal, right? Because I have to imagine, you know, a lot of us in the crypto space, if we're being honest with ourselves, all of our spare money is going into crypto. A lot of us probably had to take a lifestyle hit to make some of this stuff happen. Steph says, it would be funny if you showed your dog again on stream and instead of barking, he just said, "Hi, everyone." And your face would be like, whoa. You know what? With AI, it'd probably be possible for me to spoof a video like that. I wonder where he is right now. His name's Marvin, by the way. Hey, Marvin. You want to come on stream? Oh, there he is. Hey, buddy, come here. Everyone's asking for you. I gotta lure him in with excitement. Hey, buddy, come here. You wanna play with this cord? Yeah. Wow, so excited for a piece of plastic. This is my home defense system right here. Hey, what's going on over here? All right, he doesn't like this one bit. Let me go full screen for a second. There we go. Marv, you want to say hi to... Oh, okay, all right, buddy. All right, jeez, don't hit the microphone. Anything you want to say, buddy? You want to tell the neighbors that we're streaming so you can't bark at them anymore? All right, I'll let you down. All right, that's our corgi for the day. A good little guy. Sorry if he bumped in the mic. I know that can be kind of loud. I don't know what it sounds like on your end, but I have to imagine it's probably not quiet. All right, we'll go back to the screen share. By the way, I'm keeping this poll up. What it's like, we just do the normal screen share for a little bit, and we'll just see what aesthetic do we like. It's nice to have both options. But the poll results are showing there's almost like a 50-50 split. So that you know, this is good feedback. At the end of the day, it's you guys watching the stream, so I want to make sure that you guys have that the stream looks good, that it sounds good. That's why I've been trying to work on my coffee slurping, because at the end of the day, it's more about your experience than mine. All right, let's see what we got here in the comments. Jim loves corgis. Dude, corgis are so much fun. Baller says, have you ever watched that documentary titled When Corgis Attack? I have not. I didn't know that corgis could do that. As much as I love Marvin, I don't know that he'd be very good at home defense. Maybe he would let me know that someone's there, but it's going to be up to me to take care of it. Which I don't necessarily want to go down that road too much, but every once in a while people are like, you really should be careful selling people who you are. And it's like, first of all, I don't really think anyone is coming to get me. I'm a middle-class guy. There's definitely people out there that if you were going to rob a rich person, there's millions of more valuable targets, and probably less risky too. I mean, let's not forget that I am a gym rat and a pro-military kind of thing. I'm just not worried about it, to be honest with you guys. I know a lot of people are like, you shouldn't have your real name out there. I'm just not worried about it. I'm just not. And I appreciate that people are concerned for my safety, but it's almost like an idea I don't even want in my head, because then it kind of like starts to like brew negativity. Like, I don't want to go through life thinking that people are out to get me, and I don't think people are out to get me. If you guys want to slurp, I'll slurp. Yeah, and another part of it is like, I don't necessarily want to go down this road too much, but we are in a very Second Amendment friendly state. We have castle doctrine here. It's like, if things happen, I can take care of myself. I'm not that worried about it. I got hockey sticks. I only said that because of Pat. But I guess on like a more deeper philosophical level, if fear of something happening to me is going to prevent me from doing something, then how do I phrase this? Let me phrase it a different way. I'm not going to let fear of something happening prevent me from doing what I want to do. I'm not like deeply religious, but I am a Bible reader. I am a Christian. My time on this planet is limited anyways. If something happens, whatever. Like, it's really not that big a deal. You got 90 years at the most, and then just like that, you're another grain of sand in the overall human experience. So I'm just not really that worried about it, but I don't think it's going to happen either. So the paranoia is almost the punishment if you think about it. Like, how many celebrities get threats? I'm cautious to say the word because YouTube censorship can be strange. But how many celebrities or famous people get those kind of threats on like a daily basis that obviously no one's going to action on? It's almost kind of like the mental warfare is the true damage, not the actual threat of something happening. So I'm not worried about it at all. But I don't necessarily want to show you guys my actual dollar amounts because it only takes one or two bad apples to ruin that for everyone. I've got that tip jar. That's a public address at this point, but I mean, that's just a tip jar, right? And then some of my content I'll be doing for the Flare Network. I'll unfortunately have no choice but to really show you guys, because I want you guys to have the real data for this Flare video. I'm working on, should come out here on Sunday night. I will be coming home from a ski trip, so I'm going to try and shoot it and post it in one night. Otherwise, it'll come out next Monday. But if you watch that video, at the very baseline, you're going to know that I have 150,000 flare. Because it's going to be in the video. I'm going to be screen sharing, and we're going to be tracking the numbers. So at a bare minimum, let's say like flare goes to $1, you'll know that I've got 150,000 flare plus whatever the staking rewards are. And whatever comes out of that, it comes out of that. I'm doing this for the people. And so if anyone out there wants to rob me or do me harm, they're not just coming after me, they're coming after like the knowledge that I'm sharing with people. So I'm just going to freely put it out there. Again, not really worried about it. Looking at XRP, still sitting there around 190. Hasn't really moved much. I know that for a lot of us, this is kind of the disappointment. We've all been waiting for this to move for quite a while. I have a feeling that it actually, you know, I made price theories. I don't want to say predictions. I theorized that February was going to be the month for XRP. Due to geopolitics, due to things that are happening that are outside of all of our control, including, you know, Ripple, maybe it's going to be a little bit longer now. Things with the Clarity Act haven't been going so great. Once again, there was a delay. I think they were supposed to meet yesterday and they canceled because of snow. I don't know how substantiated that really is, but one thing's for certain, the Senate did not meet yesterday regarding Clarity. There's just certain things like this that happen that we can't really predict, and so we have to kind of adapt to it. I'm no longer expecting big price action for XRP in February. Oddly enough, I actually think Flare will move first, which is why I decided to buy Flare this morning and not XRP. In the long term, obviously, Flare or XRP is going to be the one that brings home a majority of the bacon. You know, XRP is the golden goose. That part hasn't changed. I'm going to open my window. It's getting a little hot in here. The best I can say is right now is the best time to be dollar cost averaging in an XRP, but maybe don't let FOMO fear you into doing stuff that you shouldn't do. I think most of you guys at this point understand I'm against leverage, so you might see some influencers out there like this Yoon guy on Twitter who's just been extremely obnoxious about XRP. I don't like when influencers do this stuff where they try to be like cryptic about when the price is going to move, because then it gives people this fear of missing out, so they go out and, you know, they buy on leverage, or they throw their rent money in when they shouldn't. I think we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer, guys. Maybe that's a good news for some people, bad news for others, but at this point in time, we've only got 2 days left in January and nothing's moved. And I just don't see it moving much in February. Maybe we see a little bit of a, I want to say like not a correction, but maybe it goes up to 210 in February. I think the big moves are going to have to, unfortunately, wait a little longer. AL says, Andrew, do you have steam heat? No, I have a normal furnace. The problem with it is the room I'm in, you know, I've got this computer, I've got all this sound dampening equipment all over the walls. So this room in particular insulates a lot better. So the rest of the house is like on the chilly side, so the furnace runs a lot. But then this room, you know, I've got rugs, you guys can't see it on your end, but anything that's not in frame for this particular shot, the walls are covered in moving blankets. If you guys saw behind the scenes, the room I'm sitting in looks very strange. Really, this room is designed for you only to see it from the angle you guys are looking at right now. Otherwise, if you looked at this room, you'd be like, what in the world is going on in here? Even the sign right here, this is interesting stuff I'll show. So the ppclaser.com sign, from your perspective, it probably looks level. Now you look at that and you're like, oh, it's the sign, it's level. That sign is actually on my wall, hung up, tilted at about a 30-degree angle, because the camera is like a 30-degree angle from the corner of the wall. So it's all like optical illusions, and it only works if I move things in this room in a way that makes the room look a little bit more perpendicular. So it's like optical illusions. Otherwise, this room is like all over the place. Baller says, can you just close off the heat? I can. The problem with that is that usually, so it's kind of like this. For whatever reason, my heat doesn't run when I'm not in the house. I don't know why. It's this stupid Google Nest thing. I come in my house, it's like 60 degrees almost on a daily basis. So I go to the gym in the morning. So I kind of need the heat to at least run a little bit while I'm showering and getting ready. And then I guess I could close the heat vent once I start streaming. But yeah, I just don't get it. This Google Nest thing is almost like more trouble than it's worth. I haven't been too happy with it. Because I just want to set the house at 68 and not have to constantly screw with the frickin' thing. But it's definitely been a huge pain in my ass. What's going on, Mill? The good news is once March hits one way or another, not going to really need the heat anymore. So, you know, I know it's kind of a pain in the ass. Sorry that I'm always opening the window or shutting the window, but maybe when I'm in a beach house in Florida someday, I won't have to deal with it at all in either direction. Russell says should have a bump in FLR after the 30th. Yeah, I do think that with the last flare drop hitting, you know, it might not happen on the 31st, but I think February is going to be a better month for Flare than it will be for XRP. So that's kind of where I'm at with that one. And then, you know, still happy about H-bar. Buying small amounts of H-bar weekly. Nothing crazy right now. As you guys know, I'm trying to get this channel built out and fleshed out, and maybe down the road I'll have a little bit more cash flow to be buying more. But still picking up. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Still picking up H-bar. I mean, just like all the other tokens, this one's also very much on sale. Very similar to very similar to Flare, but you know, if we look at its long-term charts, H-bar has been down to 5 cents. So this isn't H-bar's all-time low. What makes Flare stand out in particular is that it's at an all-time low right now. That's why I'm really focused hard on fleshing that one out in the very near term, because I think there will be more time later on to stack up on H-bar. What are your thoughts on smart accounts with Flare? What do you exactly mean by smart accounts? Do you mean like smart contracts? I'll wait for some clarification on that one. Right Dog says it's cold in Florida right now. Supposed to be what? 21 degrees in Florida? That can't be real. Which part of Florida? No way. Gonna be 36 today in Tampa? Man, you can't have anything nice. That's unbelievable. So, Ride Dog says Sunday. So Sunday it's gonna be, wow, 33 degrees in Tampa. That's terrible. Oh, that's too bad. I wanted to move there. Well, I mean, Florida is still going to be much better than Michigan, but you know, it's like yes, it definitely feels 14 degrees out there. Gonna get down nice and down to 3 degrees by tomorrow morning. That's gonna feel real nice. And then I'm supposed to go on a ski trip this weekend. This is gonna be, it almost is too cold to ski, you guys, but we're gonna try it. This time I'm going out of town for it. Any new thoughts on Stellar? I think you heard it mentioned before. Here's the thing about Stellar, which is strange. The window did its job. I can close it. I don't understand exactly why this is, but people in the Stellar community absolutely hate XRP holders for some reason. It's not that I don't like Stellar. Stellar's quite literally in my top 5. But anytime the topic of Stellar, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but other people, especially in the comments of my more long recorded videos, anytime I mention XRP and Stellar in a video, the Stellar people come out and they're really nasty for no reason. I don't dislike Stellar. It's just that I think XRP is going to grow more than it. And because XRP and Stellar are, for the most part, the exact same code, with maybe some minor differences, if you like XRP, you should like Stellar. Stellar is basically like having 50 billion more XRP out there. So it's not that I don't like it. It's just that if you give me $1 on my left hand and $1 on my right hand and tell me that my left hand can turn that into $2 and my right hand can only turn it into $1.80, then I'm just going to want to take both hands and combine them with the left hand dollar. Does that make sense? It's like, because XRP is going to grow more, that's why I'm buying XRP and not Stellar. It doesn't mean I don't like Stellar. I do like it, and I think that after XRP moves, 'cause I think XRP will move first, that's a good time to rotate into Stellar, because I think Stellar will move second. But for some reason, people in the Stellar community, and again, not saying you're the one doing this, but like they can be very nasty about it for almost no reason. I just don't understand the tribalism. Aman says, Flare smart accounts are an account abstraction on the Flare blockchain that enables XRPL users to perform actions on the Flare chain without needing to hold Flare tokens. That's interesting. Well, it's strange you brought that up, because I saw a tweet from Hugo. I think I saved it, but let me just see if I did. Where he was saying everything requires a Flare token. Let me see if I can find him. I don't know if it was a repost or if it was his actual tweet. But it would have been yesterday. Yeah, here we go. So this tweet, every on-chain action on Flare networks uses Flare. Sending I don't know what TXN is, but sending that requires Flare. Is that a transaction? Maybe? Using Flare smart accounts. Here we go. Just like what you're asking about here. That requires Flare. Minting F assets requires Flare. Participating in the FTSO requires Flare. So, now let me go back to the question. It says, Flare accounts are an account abstraction on the Flare blockchain that enables XRPL users to perform actions on the Flare chain without needing to hold FLR tokens. So maybe someone in this procedure needs to have the Flare token. Maybe the XRPL users don't need it. I guess I'd have to look more into this because I don't necessarily have a good answer for that right now, but maybe that's something I can dig deeper into and follow up on you with. Dean says at Pat, Switzerland is more beautiful. Switzerland's awesome, guys. I went skiing there once, and like they're so much above the alpine level, there's no trees. It's just like you can see just like 10, 20 kilometers out. Unlike skiing in Colorado or Utah, you're not below the alpine level. So as cool as the Rockies are, it's not as visually stunning as something like the Swiss or French Alps. Let's see here. So you guys have been kind of sidebarring over European places. Mill says, anyone interested? My personal basket of cryptos is XRP, XLM, HBAR, Quant, Flare, Cardano, Algo, and XDC. I mean, that's right there. That's the perfect basket. I own all of those except for XDC, and I don't think I have any Algo. I do have XLM. I know some people are like, you should be buying XLM. I do have some. Just don't have a whole lot of it. But I guess we don't have to go down that too much. It's just sometimes I post a video and I get these like hate comments from Stellar holders. I just don't get it. Josh says, Mill, what is your allocation across your basket? Ooh, Josh, if you haven't watched, I know you're asking Mill, but I did a video on that yesterday. I have to imagine Mill's probably got a similar setup that I do. Yeah, he says 80% XRP, so that's pretty consistent with my video yesterday. The rest are spread out roughly equally. I'm not buying any more XRP, focused more on XDC, and HBAR. That's really pretty similar to the video I did yesterday. You know, I wouldn't say I'm done buying XRP because I'm definitely not, but I'm at a level personally where I feel like I have the opportunity to diversify a little bit. But I'll probably never allow my other portfolios to catch up to the XRP in the fact that XRP would be less than 80% of my portfolio, if that makes sense. So just like Mill, I'm really focused right now on quant and flare. And then I'll probably start buying more HBAR maybe sometime around the springtime. But I do want to get some more quant here in the near term. And then as I said in the beginning of the stream, I'm super bullish on flare after this flare drop. So I wanted to position myself to really take advantage of that. So at least this week, the only thing I'm buying is flare. Let's see. Hopefully I haven't missed anything. Pat, the most spoken language is German. You know what's interesting? When I went to Switzerland. Oh, and you already. Oop. Sorry about that. Pat already addressed it, but if you're in the north, they speak German. If you're in the west, they speak French. And if you're in the central to the east, they speak Italian. So that was really interesting to me because as I was moving through Switzerland, the language would change depending on what city you were in. So I thought that was pretty cool. When I was in Geneva, everyone there spoke French, and I only did a couple days in Geneva. In general, I spent most of that trip in the actual mountains where everybody spoke French or Italian. It's kind of like one or the other. Not a lot of German in the south side. Shelby says, what's your favorite line of supplements? Yeah, I only take 2 supplements, and if you want, I'll go grab them real quick. So these are the only 2 supplements I take. The first one, canned protein shakes. This is Nuri. Doesn't have to be this brand. They're all basically the same. And then I've got these canned energy drinks. Again, doesn't have to be Ghost. It could be any brand. The reason I go for canned, or in some cases they got like that cardboard packaging, is I can drink them and throw them away. There's no mess. There's no cleanup. I don't have to have that shaker bottle. I'm just shaking all day. I have one of these. Goes down nice and easy. Ends up in the trash. The same trash you put all your Miller Lite cans. And then on trash day, you take it out. It's very efficient. Maybe I'm paying a little bit of a premium for that, but in general, I don't like doing dishes. So any way to cut those kind of corners out, that's what I go for. And aside from that, that's the only supplements. So, you know, I don't take multivitamins. I don't take any of the junk that people sell on the internet. I don't take. You don't need it. The only thing you need is some good meat, good fruit, and to have the right mindset when you're working out. You can't be like complaining, oh, I hate working out. You know, the best pre-workout is positivity. Just go to the gym and be like, yeah, I'm doing my favorite thing I love doing. That's how I feel about it. I don't know how people need to get motivated to go to the gym. I get antsy if I don't go to the gym. But that was pertaining to my workout stuff. Baller says it's going to take a minute to gain that much quant. Yeah, I'm just starting on quant, so yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to really get to those levels that I want to be at before the price runs off. But I've still got at least a little bit, and I'm going to kind of I'm going to try and push the envelope here after I hit my flare goal. Jim says, think there will be a flare sell-off after the airdrop. I think that there will be. I just don't know how much it'll be. I mean, there's for some reason, if you go on the Twitter space, there's some people, and I don't know if they're rage baiting or what's going on, but they're all like, oh, I can't wait for the last flare drop so I can finally dump this trash token. Twitter's weird. It's a weird place. I don't know how authentic those people are being, but I have to imagine there's probably some people that are going to dump their flare. But then I think after that, the price will continue running up. So I think we could probably expect maybe a small dip on the 31st, and then I think it's going to very aggressively move to the upside after that. But there's a potential it doesn't, and that's why I wanted to front load, because you know, a 10% dip is one thing, but if it appreciates 30 or 40%, I'd rather eat the 10% dip than to miss out on 40% gains. So I would just say, you know what, I'd rather just have the tokens and not worry too much about the like min-maxing of results. Steph says, I wonder about that too, Josh. I would want to go somewhere warm in Europe to have the sunny weather, but worried about the EU's CBDC style trap. What about you, Andrew? US or elsewhere? This tends to kind of enter the philosophical space for me. I have the personal opinion that you kind of want to dig your roots, and wherever you're from is where you're from. Michigan kind of has a lot of things that I don't like about it, but it's where I'm from. So I'll probably always, on some level, live in Michigan. Maybe I have places that I travel to, but I think Michigan will always be home base for me. And that's even including, there's a lot of screwy stuff in Michigan. We don't have to go down that road too much, but I've always kind of been of the belief that like you're better off fixing your community than abandoning it to go somewhere else. And you could extrapolate that to a global level. Not sure how far down that rabbit hole we go, but it kind of makes you wonder, you know, what's the content of the character of someone that just abandons things when they get tough to go somewhere else? And would I want to be that person? I don't know that I would. But I guess that's as far as I'll go with that one, because I don't want to go down a road that's kind of too conflated. In a roundabout way, I'd probably just find a way to make things work here in the United States. Steph, I feel like Dubai, no income tax for crypto, not too expensive to find a place. Mill says, I got a little story. I obtained 70K for 300. I won roughly 40K on stake, and then used the SC. I'm not sure what SC stands for in this case, to withdraw an XRP, not my entire stack. So I'm trying to understand what's being said here. I wonder if that was a scam or a phishing attempt. Then we got Josh says the lifestyle is cheaper in the Middle East. Something that I thought was interesting, when I was So I have a friend who lives in Qatar. I went and visited Qatar. Your dollar actually goes pretty far in Qatar. Yeah, I was thinking I was going to get there and just be completely swamped with prices. I thought the trip was going to cost me an arm and a leg. It really wasn't that bad. The only thing that was expensive were the nightclubs there. Like I could get a steak dinner for like 25 bucks. The Qatar really wasn't too expensive. It was just the clubs. The clubs were expensive, but that's kind of like it's almost kind of like a trap in itself. I'm not really into the club life anyways, but cover at a club in Qatar in some cases was $200. But then what was interesting about that was that it was all inclusive. So you get in, $200 got you in the door, and then they'd have like a buffet style food like crab legs, sushi, salmon plates, like just super high end food. And then all the beer and liquor you could drink, it was just you went up, you grabbed a drink and walked away. You didn't have to pull your card out. You didn't have to do anything. It was in some ways it was almost like going to a wedding, but you just didn't know anybody there. Qatar is a very cool place. I don't know that I could live there year round. I feel like the lifestyle would eventually catch up to me. And the same reason I couldn't live in Miami or Vegas or like maybe Chicago and New York a little bit different, but I don't think I would do well in Miami long term. I'd probably end up getting involved with people and involved with activities that would kind of take me off my path. So I kind of try to actively avoid some of that. You know, nothing wrong with going to your local and watering hole and getting a couple Millers and having some fun and then going home. But Miami's the kind of city where you're up till 6, 7 a.m. A couple days a week. It's just like, I don't think that I would do well there. Not because I wouldn't enjoy it, but because I'd enjoy it too much. Let's see here. We got Bang Gotcha. Is XRP Gemini card worth getting? I don't know, man. You tell me. Is that showing up right? It's a little dusty. Funny story about this Gemini card. Oh, this thing's been playing on repeat for like 5 minutes. Let me get to a new screen. Or I'll just stop sharing all the others, show you guys this. This card fell out of my wallet, and so I thought that I lost it. I called them, got it replaced, and sure enough, it was right next to where my chewing gum is in my truck. So not sure how it fell out of the wallet, but now I have 2 of these. This one's deactivated. Not that it doesn't even have a card number on it, which I think is interesting, but this card's basically just a prop at this point. So I like to show it off on stream here and now, just to show you guys I am in the game. I love my Gemini card. But I think I'm going to get the Uphold debit card soon, so that, you know, I'll be honest with you guys, I have been applying for jobs, not saying that I have one yet, but being unemployed kind of sucks. And as much as I like making YouTube videos, it's not, this is more like side hustle money. This isn't like pay your bills money. So I'll have to navigate that. Nothing's happened yet, but if I do get a new gig, I'll probably just do these at night. I know that might be kind of tough for some people, but maybe there's a way I could do this during my lunch breaks for like a half hour. If it's a remote job, I guess it really depends. If I land a remote job or if I land an in the office job, it would very, very drastically change how all of this goes. So we'll just have to see. But if I do get gainfully employed again, I'm definitely getting an Uphold debit card that my paychecks will get deposited to, so that I can get that 4%. Because that would, I mean, think about it. If you get, let's say I get a paycheck for $3,000. What's 4% of that? Calculators are for. Where's that calculator button? There we go. So let's just say I got a $3,000 paycheck. Wait a minute, that's not right. You guys are about to be like, oh my gosh, this guy's not good at using calculators. If you got a $3,000 paycheck twice a month or whatever it ends up being, with the Uphold debit card, if you just deposit your whole check to that, you'd be getting $120 towards XRP weekly, or not weekly, bi-weekly, which would be the exact equivalent of setting up a $120 buy order every other week for XRP. If I get gainfully employed anytime soon, that is what I'll be doing 110%. Until then, I'm happy enough riding my Gemini card, because similarly, if I go to the bar and I spend $100 on Miller Lite and pizza, you get 3% on all restaurant purchases with your Gemini card. So every $100 I spend, I'm getting a XRP and a half. Maybe a little bit less than a half, but I think you guys get the idea. If I was going to be going to the bar and getting those Miller Lights anyways, why not get an XRP token out of it? So I love the Gemini card. It's almost like a little game for me. You know, if the tab hits the table, I say, guys, just Venmo me. I'll pick this one up. And then you pay off like a $400, $500 table tab at the restaurant or whatever. You know, you get your, like, how much would that be? $500? Mind you, you're getting paid back. It's not like you're buying everyone's food. So for $15, I go to the restaurant, eat food with the friends. I pick up the tab, boom. I just got myself 7 or 8 XRP tokens out of that. Something I would otherwise not have had. So I love the Gemini card. And you can set it up for whichever coin you want. You could have it do Flare. You could have it do a HBAR. You could have it do a Bitcoin, but good luck getting to a whole coin with credit card fees. I don't think that one's going to happen, but point being, these reward systems are very nice. Okay, Mill clarified SC is a stake coin. Gemini will force unrealistic compliance on you. Ooh, that's a little nerve-wracking. Could you elaborate on that? Maybe you already have, and I just haven't scrolled down the chat fast enough. Mill, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll throw the thing up. If you guys do want to hit my tip jar, this is totally up to you. I'm not going to pressure anyone to doing it, but I got this QR code scanner that you can see right above my head. And if that doesn't work for you, if you're watching this on a phone, then in the description of this actual video is the wallet. If you're on a phone, that might be the easiest way to do it, because I believe you'll be able to copy and paste by highlighting the text. Again, this is up to you guys. I'm not going to ask for money, but I'm not gonna turn down a donation either. So I'll leave that up for a few minutes if you guys are interested. And he brings up a good point. When you super chat, YouTube takes a cut. I think it's 40%. So if you give me a $2 super chat, I only get to keep about $1 of it. So that is a good point. I appreciate you guys all hanging in here and contributing, man. This is pretty cool. Pat wants me to look at gold and silver, so let's jump over to the silver chart. Silver hasn't moved a whole lot since we started streaming. It's been kind of flat, but I don't think we've looked at gold yet today, so I'm going to duplicate tab and open up some gold. So gold has, if I'm looking at this right, maybe gold has outperformed silver in the past 5 days. So gold's up 7% in 5 days. Silver, oh no, silver's still way ahead of gold on a 5-day chart. way ahead. For some reason, the TradingView website, sometimes it gives me percents here on the buttons, and sometimes it doesn't. I have no idea why, but if we're looking at gold, it wasn't that long ago that people were saying, is gold going to break 5,000? Well, it did that and more. So these are very interesting things to me. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know exactly what's going to go on here, but I do have a theory that we'll see at least some rotation out of gold and silver, that it's going to move into crypto. How much, I don't know, but I do think that this ties into the carry trade. We'll just have to see how this thing plays out. One way or another, it does show that the US dollar is in serious trouble. Let's see if the US dollar chart is on TradingView, because I saw something on the Twitter space yesterday that was really concerning. I don't know if this is the right chart for it, but let me see here. USD futures, I don't know if this is the right one. Oh, we might have to poke around and try a few different charts. This might be it. No, because this one's for the Korean. Well, anyways, it was basically like this. The US dollar has significantly fallen in the past couple of days. I'm having a little bit of a tough time getting the right chart up. Here's something interesting. The US dollar to Japanese yen. This has a significant fall off. So it looks like, I believe what this is saying is that $1 equals 153 yen. That's fallen off by about 5. Let's see, let's tighten this chart a little bit better. So as of January 26th, so that would have been a few days ago, $1 would get you 158 yen. Now $1 only gets you 152 yen. That's a little concerning. More evidence, I guess, that you could say that the carry trade is on its way. I'd have to kind of spend a little bit more time breaking this one down to try to relay it to you guys, but let's see what some of the news is saying. Some of these headlines here, this is what it's called, intervention. They don't want it to hit 160, but they would need to try harder. Let me see if there's some good input here. Yeah, here we go. Dollar pinned near 4-year low. Let's see if this might be, I have to log in. Okay, well, that's not gonna work. Yeah, I saw the headlines about the US dollar. Unfortunately, I don't think I saved it because I couldn't find it before the stream. Let's see if I can get an article that I don't have to pay a. Yeah, okay, let's search Twitter real quick and see if I just type in US dollar. This is like a Hail Mary. I don't know if we're gonna find that chart I saw earlier, but let's just see if the first couple of no shit. Oops, sorry for swearing. This is it. This was the chart. So US dollar index. Okay. US dollar index. Now, can I go over to TradingView? Can I go and type in US dollar index? We did it. So I'm wondering if that little dip we saw there, their chart looks crazy looking. Oh, okay. This is like a minute by minute. So this candle, this giant red candle, is probably what we're seeing right here. In fact, we have the timestamps here. So 1600 UTC. Yep, 1600 UTC. So this happened yesterday. This was what I wanted to look at. The US dollar is not doing well. In fact, in the past month, we've seen it fall pretty significantly. I wonder if we're seeing in real time, there's definitely some rotation from the US dollar into silver. That would make sense. Looking at a 1-year chart, the US dollar index goes from 107 down to 95. Not looking good for the US economy, I can tell you that much. I think it's a very safe thing for us to be doing to be getting out of silver and jumbling up my words here. I think it's a very good thing for us to be getting out of the US dollar and either into metals or crypto. And even the stock market, I don't necessarily think is safe from this, because the US stock market is basically backed by the dollar. So it's kind of like a feedback loop. Whereas gold and silver is a physical asset that you can hold. Crypto is a digital asset that you can hold in a cold wallet, but they don't have to be backed by the US dollar the same way that stocks do. So, just looking at this 5-year chart, it kind of makes sense that 2020 to 2022 run up that we had. You basically couldn't lose on the stock market for those 2 years. I mean, look at how crazy the dollar went. So the dollar is on very shaky ground right now. And one way or another, I really would hold anything but U.S. Treasury bonds right now. I just wouldn't even go near them. I want to catch up with the chat. I think you guys are still talking about places to live or places to go to. Mill says, I spent over 10 years looking at places. I will be moving to Wyoming or Montana. When I was in Wyoming, I went to Salt Lake City for a ski trip, and I drove. I wanted to have all my equipment with me. I spent a few months in Salt Lake City, so it wasn't like a fly in, fly out thing. So when I was in Wyoming, I was driving through a blizzard, much like the one we had like 4 days ago, and that was one of the scariest experiences of my life. It was like going through a post-apocalyptic movie. There's these trucks tipped over on the highway, and there's just people like sitting next to their trucks. And I'm just driving along in my own truck, but not like a semi-truck, but my normal 4x4 truck. And I'm just like, I need to get to the damn hotel. This is getting too insane for me. Because in Wyoming, it's like 40 miles between gas stations. And I had about 200 miles to get to, I think it's called Rock City, Wyoming. It's been a while. Maybe it was Rock Springs, something like that. Yeah, Rock Springs. There we go. Great town. Really reminded me of South Park from the cartoon. It was kind of like the same, had the same aesthetic to it, I had a population of like 2,000 or 3,000 people, but if you ever get stuck in a snowstorm, you go to Rock Springs and they'll take care of you. But yeah, other than that, Wyoming's cool, very spacious, not a lot of weirdos. So you can kind of just get away from all the weird stuff you got in the cities. In general, cities are kind of a rough spot to live in because you're just surrounded by hooligans all the time. And Wyoming has no capital gains. Pretty good thing if you're buying and trading crypto. So we got Will. Will says, as the yen carry trade unwinds, could gold be used for repayment liquidity instead of XRP rails, boosting gold and capping XRP? The thing about that is, I think that paper gold and paper silver are a problem because you can't actually cash in what they don't have, which people are going to find out the hard way. I'd have to imagine the only way you could do the reverse carry trade with gold and silver is to actually deliver physical gold and silver to Japan, which that would be a transportation issue that is beyond feasible, right? Like, to mail something from here to Japan, like, shipping routes take forever. I just don't think that would move in a timely manner. So, especially considering the fact that it's not like all the gold's being consolidated in one spot, more like it's being moved from all over the world. You know, everybody and their mother has been getting Japanese loans since the 80s. I think that the XRP being digital, let's put it this way: if you needed to get paid right now, you'd go with XRP, not gold, because you know that gold has to go through like thousands of miles of ocean. Let's see here, catching up on some chats here. We got mill taxes. Remember, tax evasion is a crime. Tax avoidance is not. Having a solid CPA pays for itself, as is learning employment tax deferment. Yeah, I have a accountant who does my taxes, and we come up with all kinds of ways to, you know, take full advantage of the tax laws. I mean, just one example with crypto, everyone's probably down on something. You could wipe out $3,000 of capital gains simply by washing your crypto, and what that would mean. And by the way, this is definitely not financial advice. But you would put a sell order on one of your cryptos that's down, and then immediately rebuy it, like instantly rebuy it. So your cost basis on that crypto will reset essentially to where it was when you hit that buy order. So if you're down 50% on a crypto, do the math and figure out at what level do you hit that $3,000 loss target. And you execute that, then immediately rebuy it back in. You can wipe out $3,000 from your capital gains every year. Cool stuff like that. You probably wouldn't know to do that without having tax consultants, because they don't really teach this stuff in schools. And also, that's another thing, FIFO. So you'd have to sell them in lots. Some exchanges might be friendlier with that than others. If you really just wanted to be certain, you could just sell your entire asset and buy back in. Like, let's say you had like 10,000 XRP and you sold it all and immediately bought back in. That would be one way to just sort of kind of like squashing bugs. You know, you just squash the whole area. Maybe it's overkill, but then you'd hit your target there. The one thing though, once you move something to a cold wallet, the juice no longer becomes worth the squeeze, because as far as Coinbase is concerned, you've moved your token, so your cost basis kind of resets. You didn't sell it, but the amount of paperwork you'd have to do to retrace all of those steps, very time consuming, maybe not worth the effort. So just something to consider if you've been moving your assets off exchanges. Steph says capture Bitcoin to cover the rest. That's actually what I did. I do have some Bitcoin. I washed it and immediately rebought it, and that was enough to do it for me. Which I guess is, in a strange way, letting you know that I have at least a little bit of Bitcoin. Not a lot, but I probably won't buy any more. But anyways, and then Mill says, just find other deductions. That's also true. You could do this. You could do this with stocks too. The only tricky part with doing it with stocks is that sometimes the buy and sell orders aren't as immediate, right? Like if you have a mutual fund, those don't sell till the end of the day, and then they don't buy until the end of the day either. So if you were to wash a mutual fund and then it goes up like 5% in a day, that wouldn't feel so good. That's why the crypto route, kind of nice. I want to jump to Twitter, see what people are saying, see what's going on in the space. I saved a few tweets that I thought were interesting. Everyone's favorite Vitalik, his head shape is just, I feel like he must be eating rocks to get a jawline like that. Very interesting looking guy. He has this to say, and I think the font might be too tight for you guys to read. So let me jump back to my normal. Yeah, here we go. But I don't know if you can read this still. I think it's off screen. So up here, right above my head, it says, Vitalik warns of a crypto doomsday scenario. His greatest fears of crypto becomes just speculation with no application. Essentially saying he warns that if people only gamble, the industry will die. Well, isn't that kind of ironic, guys? Whose platform are all the meme coins on? It's on Ethereum and Solana. I think that's just, he's definitely not wrong. He's definitely not wrong. But I do think it's a little ironic to hear that coming from him. He's got the platform where tens of thousands of people have essentially had their lives ruined by rug pulls. Maybe that's him saying a little bit of accountability. I don't know, but I just feel like it's an interesting perspective considering who it's coming from. I guess that's all I'm saying. But he's not wrong. Crypto does need to be more than just a digital casino, and we know that it is. I mean, Firelight, Flare Assets, Hedera's Hashgraph, they're partnering up with a lot of different entities. Plus, they're, I'm going to go to their developer conference and see, what does it really look like to use the Hedera platform. That's February 17th, by the way, so keep an eye out for that. But we're getting out of this digital casino space with or without Ethereum. But I just thought that was such an interesting tweet, given who it's coming from. Another thing I thought was interesting was this tweet from 21 Shares. I thought this was a real, and again, maybe I'm a little too heated here, but I kind of thought this was a boneheaded tweet. Because if you don't know, 21 Shares has an XRP ETF. So what better way to say don't buy my ETF than to have a bull case for XRP to be $2.70 for 2026? And again, I think XRP is going to do phenomenal this year, just maybe not in the springtime like we originally wanted, but we're still going to see something happen with XRP this year. To think that it could only go up to $2.70 it's almost insulting to see them making this kind of prediction. And then their base case, they think that their base, it's just going to go to $2.45. That just is like, who's even doing this research? They post this research tab, but if you are running an ETF, isn't this bad marketing? This is kind of how I think about it, but let's just glance through. I'm not going to read this whole article, but let's see if there's anything we can gather that's actually logical here. So they say there's 3 pillars for XRP's price action: regulatory clarity, which it already has; substantial investor demand for the U.S. XRP spot exchange funds, which it already does have; and then adoption of stablecoins and real-world assets. How are you only landing at 269? Granted, it was $3.60 last year, so it's not like it hasn't already been there before. I just thought this was a strange tweet, you guys. Especially coming from a brand that has an ETF. By the way, the 21 shares ETF hasn't really performed that well. Not going to spend too much time reading this article, but if you look at the fund flows, we've got, here's Bitwise. Bitwise is doing pretty good. You know, 330 million. And then let's jump this to 6. So it's 330 million for Bitwise. I think the Franklin Templeton one now has the most. Let's see. Okay, so Bitwise actually has a little bit more than Franklin Templeton. 300 million for this one, 330 for the other. So you're already at $500 million since November for those two. Then maybe Canaries is the one that's really doing a bulk of the volume. I think it's XRPC. Yeah, here we go. Let's just see how this one's looking. Yeah, okay, here we go. This is the big ticket one. 400 million. So you put those three together, that's already 100 billion, or not, that's 1 billion. Sorry, you guys. Long stream. I'm starting to mix my words up here. Let's see what Grayscale is. I think it's GXRP. I think Grayscale might be a little bit smaller. Oh, wow. Grayscale's had some outflows. Regardless, 250 million flows. So between the four major ETFs, there's been 1.25 billion flows for XRP. Let's see what the 21 shares one is. I don't even know what their ticker is. I don't think it's done well. What's their ticker? Oh, TOXR. Okay, that's what it is. Yeah, okay, they've only had 30 million flows. And on January 7th, they've had negative 50 outflows. Okay, so maybe they're just salty that their ETF's not doing well. Let's see what you guys think. I don't know if I've looked at it since I've pulled this tweet. Yeah, Mill says, these people doing this are likely guilty of regulatory crimes. They'll enjoy the legal process once XRP takes off. We've captured roughly 800 million XRP in the ETFs. We should cross 1 bill. Not sure if this was before or after, but we just went through and I counted up 1.25 billion. I know that's kind of ballparking it a little bit, but you know, I'm pretty certain we're already past 1 billion in inflows since November when the four major ones launched. And if BlackRock launches an ETF, which I'm sure will eventually happen, that one's probably going to really take off. Some of you guys know I'm not a real big fan of BlackRock, but question is how many of those threads do we really pull? Because I don't want to necessarily alienate or be divisive with the audience, but BlackRock hasn't really acted in good faith, right? So that's how I feel about that. More good news for HBAR. Dell has a white paper with HBAR at the center of AI. You know, I've been saying it for a while, but HBAR is really going to be the AI token. It does more. It's not just one thing, right? It has multiple applications, but AI is really going to be where it shines, including tokenization of real-world assets. For some reason, HBAR doesn't seem to have a whole lot of community outreach. which can sometimes make it a little bit difficult to talk about HBAR. It seems to be one of those tokens that sort of just moves in silence, and you find out about things after they've already happened. I'm not sure if that's by design or if they just don't do a whole lot of marketing, but just because no one's really talking about HBAR from like a marketing standpoint doesn't mean that things aren't happening. So I'm really bullish on HBAR. I wish maybe they'd spend a little bit more effort on Twitter or like going on interviews and things like that so that we can get more exposure to what they're up to. Dunamis says, I want to quit my job. You could be like me and get laid off. You know what? I'll be honest with you guys. I hated my day job. I hated it. I hated it so much. Even though things are a little shaky right now, like I've never been unemployed like this before. This is like a first time thing for me. It's terrifying and awesome at the same time. Like I'm literally my own man. This thing kind of happened a little faster than I wanted it to. But being able to wake up every day, go to the gym, live stream, and then spend the rest of my day researching crypto. You know, I haven't had a bad day since November. I haven't been angry at anyone or anything since November. I used to be angry every day. Man, the things that made me angry at work. I'm dreading it. You know, if I got to go back to work for a year or two, you know, I'll do it. But hoping that we get some relief. If the market does well enough, I could probably figure things out for a year or two before things really pop off. But otherwise, I think I might have to grab another contracting gig here or something like that. Hopefully recruiters don't stick around to the last 10 minutes of my streams. I'd have to imagine some of them probably watch a few of my videos just because they're posted on LinkedIn, but I can't imagine anyone's jumping to an hour and 50 minutes to hear me trash talking corporate America. You know how soulless it is? You walk into the building after sitting in traffic for a freaking hour. You sit in traffic for a whole freaking hour to go sit in some cubicle hallway. They don't even have cubicles anymore. It's more like just a giant computer lab like you had when you were in college or elementary school. And you sit in your chair. There's no assigned seats because they got rid of all that. So you sit in the same chair every day anyways, but it's awkward. It's not yours. You can't put up decorations. It's just a very lifeless, soulless, giant computer lab. You sit there until your first meeting, then you go sit in a room. I know some of you guys are on the older side, so don't take this the wrong way. But you got some of these old guys that are quite literally falling asleep during meetings. And it's just like, why the fuck am I here? I'm wasting my life sitting in this cubicle, then to go sit in a conference room, to be on a Microsoft Teams call with other people that are in the damn room. It's like, oh, then what do we if we're all in the same room for the same meeting, why are we using Microsoft Teams? And then sometimes you don't even go to the conference room. You're sitting in the computer lab. You're in the same Microsoft Teams call, but the guy that you're on the call with is like 4 rows down. And it's like, why are we even in this office building? It's like I drove here for a whole hour to basically be a good boy and sit in my desk like I'm in adult daycare, like I'm in after school detention, doing a Microsoft Teams call that I could have very easily have done from my freaking home office, which by the way has way better equipment than anything they're providing at the office. And then you got to drive an hour back, and the drive home's even worse because, you know, you can leave home early. But at least when you were in the consulting space like I was, nobody's leaving before 5. So have fun driving home in your bumper-to-bumper traffic while, you know, you got all these hooligans on the highway that are ripping the Benjamin and doing whippets. And maybe I'm going to end up saying some things I shouldn't. So I'm going to go to the chat. I'll see you guys are going to figure out that when I pop off, you know, I get upset about these things. Mill says, or actually Black Gold says, join ICE. You know, I think I'd probably be I bet you I'd be good at it. I bet you I'd be good at it. Mill says, XRP, many opinions on number to achieve. Use math and 4% APY and project XRP at $50. So 50 tokens. Oh no, $50 at 10,000 tokens is half a milli. And 4% of that is 20K. 20K a year enough to live on you? If not, buy more. If so, buy others. I agree with that. I think depending on our timeline, if we've got time before this thing really takes off, I'd say people should go for 50,000. But some people might not be able to make something like that happen. But if you had 50,000 XRP tokens, all you got to do is just sit and wait. And eventually this thing's going to hit. And then you will be good to go. Let's see here. Mill says, if adoption occurs, XRP will become a 3 to 5 digit coin. It will take many years, maybe even 20. I do agree with that. I don't think, you know, the Jay Claver stuff is saying it's going to be 4 digits by the end of the year, I think is doing more harm than good. I think it eventually gets there. But, you know, on Mill's point here, if your goal is to get to $1 million, what's more likely? Getting $1 million with 100,000 XRP tokens trading at $10, or having 1,000 XRP tokens and they have to go to $1,000. It's very obvious, and some people probably don't want to hear this, but it is easier right now to get 100,000 XRP tokens and have it get to $10 than it is to have only 1,000 XRP tokens and have it go to $1,000. Will it eventually go to 1,000? Yeah. I mean, in 2035, probably. If you don't mind waiting that long, yeah. But then at the same time, it makes you wonder, if you had 10 years to buy XRP, how do you only have 1,000 tokens? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of where I'm coming at it from. I try not to be too like condescending with it, so I don't necessarily say that in my pre-recorded videos. But I know there's people out there that only have like 200 XRP, and it's like, if you only have 200 XRP, what are you even looking at the charts for? Like, you're not going anywhere anytime soon with 200 XRP. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but some people will call me on the phone, not you guys, but people that know me in real life, and they'll be like, "What's going on with XRP? What's going on with XRP?" And I'm like, "Well, how many tokens do you have?" And they're like, "Oh, I think I got about 100. It's like, dude, what are you gonna do? Go buy a McDonald's Happy Meal? I mean, come on, 100 XRP it's negligible. You got no skin in the game. Like, who cares what the price is? And if you don't really believe in it, like, that's fine. I'm happy that people are buying XRP because I told them to, not financial advice, but it's kind of like, if you're waiting for a $10,000 XRP so that your 100 tokens will make you quit your McDonald's job, it's just, there needs to be a paradigm shift. You know, you got to think volume. And I think that a lot of you guys probably understand this. But it's like, you're going to get 100,000 XRP to $10 a lot faster than you're going to get 1,000 XRP to $1,000, I guess is just what I'm saying here. Let me catch up on a couple more chats. We are at 1 o'clock. In general, don't mind going longer, but talking for 2 hours straight, you kind of get a little bit of a sore throat sometimes. So I'll probably start wrapping this up one way or another, even though I think we're having some pretty good discussions here. Steph says, I hope you don't need another job, as if you change your live stream to evenings, it would be 1 or 2 a.m. over here, and I would miss it. You would lose all of your UK and Europe audience. I've definitely thought about that. I don't want to have it come to that. What I am thinking, and I think this could work, if I get a remote job, nothing changes. I just have to tighten it up to like 45 minutes. And I think that's still doable. You know, if I hopped on here from, I don't know, 12 p.m. Eastern time to like 12:45. I think I could skate under the radar. If my day job didn't like it, I'd just say whatever, I'll stay later, but that's my lunch break. It is owed to me. It's a legal requirement to have a lunch break, and I can do what I want with it. That could work. If I'm in the office, I think I could still make it work. I'd probably just have to drive to like a McDonald's or something and do it on a laptop. Not ideal. Not ideal, but I think there's ways to still make that work. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I mean, I don't have a job yet, and these things take time. I think the earliest I could have a job is probably March, considering like you got to interview and you got to onboard, and it's all these things. But I am kind of looking now because I got that mortgage bill in 2 days. It's starting to get real. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But I'll find ways to make this stuff work. Worst case, maybe I just stream on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning. It's not perfect, but we can find ways to keep this thing rolling. And then once everything hits, if crypto hits the way we think it will, I might not even need to monetize the channel. I could just do this for fun. I mean, how great would that be? Just come on here, talk with you guys for a few hours, and then go drink Mai Tais or whatever and go to the beach. But we'll all in good time. Well, one way or another, I'm not going anywhere, so don't worry about that part. Dune says, Mill, absolutely. I'm a ninja when it comes to avoiding small talk, especially because I'm ultra awake to what's going on. Same here. I can probably be a buzzkill at the water cooler because I don't really care about small talk. I want to talk about geopolitics, but that's a big no in the office, especially with some of the more left-leaning types. Milk Power, the fact of the matter is very few people will be able to hold on to 1K if they hold 1K. Very few, but having far more means more options. I 100% agree. It's kind of like growing a tree. You can trim the branches if you have a big enough tree, right? So if you had 50,000 or 100,000 XRP tokens, if you pull out 500 tokens to buy some stuff, like, you're going to be fine. It would take a long time to run out. And then we got AL says, if there was a way to make profit on holding XRP, it would be a lot easier to hold. I got good news for you. This little thing called Firelight. If Firelight does what I want it to do, and I'm really hoping Firelight's the real deal, ideally I'll never sell a single XRP token ever, and I'll just live off that staking income. And then AL follows up with, Mill, I'm just very leery on moving my crypto around out of cold wallets. Seem very risky. That'll definitely improve. Definitely is going to improve. There's going to eventually get to a point where you can do smart contracts from your cold wallet, all under one system. You won't have. You might not even see it out of your overall wallet. Like right now, if you stake your XRP in Firelight, obviously it's not in your cold wallet anymore. I think it'll eventually get to a place where you stake in your cold wallet, but you still see your total tokens. I don't think that we're too far away from that either. Kristen says, I'm impulsive, so having a cold wallet with an extra step or two will help me from selling my XRP. You're not wrong there. If things come to it, take a couple profits on the way up, get yourself a nice meal or two. I think you guys are on the little bit of the older side, if I had to guess. So you're probably not in my own age bracket. So I probably don't have to tell you not to buy the gold chain or the Cartier sunglasses or the Lambo. But if I was to ever do those things, I wouldn't do them unless it was with staking yield. That's kind of my rule. If my staking yield gets high enough that I could buy a Lambo with staking, with my yield, not like the tokens, but the yield from the tokens, then yeah, I'm getting a Lambo. But I'm not going to sell tokens to get a Lambo, if that makes sense. which means I'm gonna need a lot of tokens. Gonna need a lot. We don't need to get too crazy with that. But yeah, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm burning the boats behind me. So just like Cortez, either gonna conquer the jungle or die in it. You guys, I'm gonna start wrapping. I'm starting to get a little bit of a sore throat, so I think that naturally means it's time. We went to 110 today, which is pretty sweet. I appreciate you guys hopping in here and being active in the chat. You know, if it wasn't for you guys, I'd run out of things to talk about way sooner. So I hope you guys know I really do appreciate that you're here, and that you know, not only that you're here, but that you're also engaging with me, because that makes this so much more enjoyable on my end. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying the content. I am going to start wrapping. I have to imagine every single one of you that's still here is subscribed, but in the rare chance that someone found this stream from the YouTube's live algorithm, make sure to subscribe. We're here every Monday through Friday, 11 through 1 p.m. Eastern time. By the way, heading up, and here in Michigan we call it up north. Going up north Thursday night, doing some skiing. I might do I might experiment with my laptop and see if I can stream on the go. I'll eventually have to develop that skill anyways. So I might do a very informal kind of fun stream. I was thinking maybe we look at the bearable guy stuff and do like an Easter egg hunt with it. This would be something that'd be pretty easy for me to do. It'd be a low stakes stream. We would just go through this and try to identify all the little Easter eggs in this photo, just to have something fun to do on Friday. It'll be because I'm gonna probably be in vacation mode anyways, so look for that. We'll see what happens. But I'm probably gonna be waking up in a cabin Friday, so one way or another, I'm not gonna be streaming the full 2 hours. So with that, I am going to start shutting this thing down. I appreciate all of you that have hung on there. And as always, I'll see you guys tomorrow.